School, which hosts, and you can also work with her online as well as tune into her Facebook channel where she does live online readings as well.
That's true. Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways you can stay connected with Eden. Scott Thomas, actually a love coach, as well as communications expert. So if you guys have any questions about that, you know who to come to, but also spiritual teacher and guide and Emmy award-winning producer. And he has produced and hosted many different shows. And he's the host of the Awakening World Show, which he hosts every week, Wednesday and Saturday nights online on Zoom, as well as on YouTube and Facebook. And then we actually co-host a show together every month. So definitely stay connected, stay tuned, and we look forward to chatting with you guys further. And Scott and Eden are going to be presenting some tips and tools and practices for our enlightenment. So we welcome you guys. Thank you for being here. The online audience is very interactive too. So we'll have stay with us all day. All day until 5 p.m. this
And we are actually starting our online show right now. We're playing our little opening banner. And then we're going to go to, we're going to go to songs on the show. I think we'll do that afterwards. Because we want to honor both the online audience and our in-person audience.
Welcome.
And here we go. Okay, we are live and welcome. Once again, I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas, and next to me is Eden Amadora. Tips, tools for enlightenment. And maybe to drop us in, would you like to lead opening meditation?
I'd love to. I'm going to orient a little bit more to the live audience because here we are. It's so precious to be in person. And I love you all. I know a lot of you. Welcome online as well. So welcome, everyone. Let's actually get here now in the body even more with the breath, because on our journey to more presence, more peace, higher frequencies, what we like to think of as more enlightened states, we start by getting here now in the body. So I'm going to invite everybody to sit up really tall and let your spine be like the highway to the divine, as our Yogananda said. And close your eyes for a moment with me. If you want to let your hands relax open, palms upward in your lap. And for our online audience, come inward with us and bring your attention to your breath, breathing in through the nose, deeper than usual. Letting the prana, the oxygen in, and deep sigh. Ah. You can only breathe in the now. So let's do that 2 more times. Deep inhale. Dropping all the tension in the jaw, the shoulders. Again, one more resonant sigh. Letting the sound go, but keeping the breath deep and connected. Bringing the crown of the head back a little bit. We're such forward leaners in the West. We're leaning into the back body more by bringing the crown back and then lifting the heart. Breathing into the center of what I like to call the sacred heart. You can feel this relaxation, more prana, more oxygen. And let's visualize and imagine as the breath comes in that it's bringing in this brightening light. Bringing the light in first through the crown. Breathing it down through the third eye. And imagining this golden light just bathing your consciousness and your body. Breathing it all the way down through the throat. Breathing it into the torso. You can bow your chin a little and go right into the depth of the back of your heart chakra. Deep breath there. I like to imagine softening any shields, any crystallization. This is a safe and sacred space we're creating together. Breathing now into the belly. Relaxing any tension in the organs, all the cells, all the molecules, taking in the prana and the light, golden light, all the way down. Breathing into the sacrum and then even the root. And now imagining this beautiful golden grounding cord coming down through our legs, out the soles of our feet, out of the root, through what we're sitting on, and breathing it right through the floor, into the earth, below the foundation. And just feeling us all grounding here and now in this body at this time together, all across the world, here in this room and online, all of our friends all over the world. And as we ground down together, feeling this network of light that we're creating together. And as we plug into this larger network, we are connected and supported. Take a deep collective breath as if we could light up the grid and to draw this energy back up with the support of all our allies and friends and all the beings who are awakening on the planet right now. And then I'd like you to bring your attention to your hands of light and slowly lift them up towards the heart to press them together. This is a simple mudra. Mudra focuses energy and amplifies energy. The Namaste mudra is a mudra of great connection and gratitude, bowing again towards the palms at the heart. We just invoke a feeling of gratitude together. It's a high frequency. It starts to open the heart, raise the vibration in your whole body. Think of one thing you're grateful for. Could be a beautiful being in your life, or even something simple like being here now, having this experience, letting a little inner smile in. Beautiful. A grateful open heart is a doorway to higher frequencies. And then we let our hands of light go and we open our eyes together slowly and just take a moment to just feel. Thank you for going on that brief little inner grounding journey with us.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Welcome.
I think we all needed that, right? And Tanjila is here too. Just want to let people know. So we can't quite get all three of us. Let's all squeeze tight. Yeah, that. Am I like the luckiest guy in the world right now? So yeah, there we go. Enlightenment. So to both our audience out there and to our online audience, how many of you are seeking or imagining the possibility of being fully enlightened in this lifetime? Anybody? Okay, great. Jazz, she says yes.
Is there
There's another dog. Oh, okay, Jazzy. You know what? You're gonna have to take over because I have to go
Okay.
calm her down.
Okay. So we might have different ideas about what enlightenment is. And maybe there's some other words that, like, for you, is it freedom? Is it peace? You know, you can start to think about what that means to you. And for our online audience, if you want to type it in the chat, what does enlightenment even really mean for you? Are there any words that could popcorn up for you? For me, it's great peace, great freedom. Freedom from perhaps even like reactivity, right? Because when we're reacting, we're not free. When we're reacting, we're not centered and at peace. So here's some people are already starting to chat into the chat what it is for them. Does anybody want to just popcorn? Don't be shy. You can speak up in this space. What is enlightenment for you?
Some of the people that are in, Sylvia says radically aligned embodiment. Grace writes wisdom. And
Understanding.
inner peace.
Expansion.
Getting in touch with my higher self.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Getting in touch with my higher self.
Mark writes, universal logic as the clear recognition of the divine in the other. That's deep. That's deep.
Beautiful.
All right.
Liberation.
Liberation. So hopefully everybody can be seen.
Jasmine's like liberation.
She's, yes. So one of the things that I've observed is that we aren't necessarily fully enlightened all the time, but we have enlightened moments. So what's an enlightened moment mean to each of you and each of you?
Well, an enlightened moment for me is when I'm feeling a lot of what you all have been expressing, that perfect peace, the expansion, the knowing, the understanding, and definitely there's moments of that,
Right.
you know? But it's how do we hold on to it, but also knowing that being able to hold on to that is a journey and it's not a destination.
Beautiful. Lord.
I feel similarly that for me, enlightenment is moments of presence when I'm fully grounded in the body, my heart feels really open, and I can navigate, even if there's a challenge, like let's say there's even maybe upset or reactivity in the field, or someone needs support, that I'm not collapsing into that energy, that I can hold a really high level of compassion and be with them wherever they are. For me, that's a high goal, like to stay there as long as possible. And like Scott said, we don't always hang out there in those frequencies. Even, very profound spiritual teachers where we might have read every book they've written. I'm not going to name names, but one day I was in a Whole Foods line and one of these famous spiritual teachers was standing behind me, grumpy and complaining about how long this line was taking. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Even he has those moments, very human. We're very human.
Yeah, I'm reminded of that wonderful quote from Ram Dass, where he said, if you think you're enlightened, go back home and spend a week with your family.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, I think one of the maybe other things I want to mention about the idea of enlightenment or enlightened moments is it doesn't necessarily mean that you're happy. I think one of you said it's being fully present. And sometimes we're fully present to sadness. Sometimes we're fully present to grief or to pain, and we can actually have a moment like that. And I experienced that. My wife passed away almost 12 years ago. And the moment of her death obviously was profound. And in a sense, and there were several of us in the room, we all kind of experienced an enlightened moment because we were so present to her last breath. We could feel her leaving her body. And it wasn't a happy moment, but it was an enlightened moment that we all shared, and that really taught me that it's those moments don't have to be about happiness. They can be just when you're so fully present to what is. I think maybe we see that with athletes. When we see athletes that are in the zone, they're so present to getting that ball into the hoop or whatever it might be.
I think that's such a good point you bring up, Scott, about, it's not all about being happy all the time. When we think of enlightened masters, who are some enlightened masters? When you think of an enlightened master, name a name.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, Babaji.
Babaji.
Yogananda.
Maharishi. Jesus. Buddha. Any others? Muhammad. Yes, Muhammad. Confucius. Yes, exactly. So we have so many examples of who we consider to be enlightened masters. But when we look at their lives, whether we're studying the lives of Prophet Muhammad or Jesus or Babaji, no one's life was a perfect line of happiness. Every one of us incarnating here for the human experience, there's going to be ups and downs and ups and downs. But what we can learn from Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha or Mary Magdalene or Lakshmi Saraswati is like you said, Eden, how are we reacting
Yeah.
to those moments?
Exactly. Yes. And when you name Master Teacher Jesus, I can't help but think of the word forgiveness and how liberating it is to let go of the past, to let go of the projections we might have, especially those of us who have been in relationships with people we're close to where there's been hurt, where there's been even betrayal. So I think almost every one of us has been on both sides of that, victim perpetrator dynamic in some way, this being human. We often bumble and stumble and hurt each other. So how do we come into forgiveness closer to present moment? Because to be enlightened is to be light, right? Not have a lot of heavy baggage that we're carrying around. Stories about what my sister did to me 30 years ago. These are the things that will make us have very dense frequencies. So maybe we can all think about, like, where could we bring more forgiveness into our hearts, into our lives, especially towards those characters we have the most karma with, the most drama with, and feel maybe in your own, just inner knowing, you're like, that's one of my pieces of baggage I could lay down to really step fully onto this path of lightening up more in my life.
Beautiful. We have a question from the audience, online audience, and we want to take your questions also. Sylvia asks, how do we grow and nourish radiant embodiment in and with each other and with all? That's a great question. Tanjila, do you want to?
So that's a great question. And it goes back to what Eden was saying about forgiveness. Again, when we think about Master Yeshua, Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, Buddha, Mary Magdalene, so many of the masters we look at and who we consider enlightened throughout time, persecuted, oppressed, punished, run out of their homes, killed. These are experiences that they have faced. And we also face many experiences throughout our lifetime: betrayal, loss, fear, despair, anger. And we also carry these energies from other lifetimes as well. And so for us, it begins with, forgiveness, compassion, and love for ourselves, first and foremost, for feeling those feelings. And then we can begin to really radiate that out to others. But without even realizing it, we carry around so much anger and resentment towards ourselves for
I'm
who,
glad you're speaking to this.
because it's like we are these amazing liberated beings, but we put ourselves in these boxes of, I'm supposed to be this way for my family. I'm supposed to be this way for my friends. I'm supposed to be this way for my boss. I'm supposed to be this way for my religion. And we carry the guilt when we can't be. But you know what? We're not supposed to be. We're just supposed to. We're here to be ourselves and love ourselves for that. And for me, that's the enlightenment journey. How do we begin to uncover who am I, underneath all of those boxes, and know that no matter what, I'm amazing and I love myself.
I'd love to riff off of what you just said. So when Tanjila was using the expression supposed to be, you can feel all the conditioning, right? From our childhoods, from the culture, the church, the parents. And when I work with people, I'm always listening to their language, because a lot of times we'll put things like I need to, I have to, I should, I must, I'm supposed to into phrases when we're explaining why we make choices. And part of this path of liberation is really challenging the conditioning. So when Sylvia asks, how can we embody the most radiant, liberated version of ourselves? I would say challenge those inner voices as well, those stories that we're programmed with. Because if we could catch it and kind of go, who says, supposed to, need to, should, but is it bringing me joy? Is it my sovereign yes? Am I actually free? Or am I running someone else's like movie direction, living out the character they want me to be? To be enlightened is to be sovereign. It's to be free and a choice as well. So just questioning the conditioning. And a way to do that is to, I would recommend in your journals, automatic writing. Like if there's places that you feel guilt, that you feel obligation, that you feel shame for not doing something that you're supposed to do, really dialogue with your higher self who will say, who says? Who says?
So a quick, simple way to remember how to do what she just said. Let's all stop shooting on ourselves.
Shooting all over.
No more shooting all over ourselves. You know, I want to riff for a moment also on a word that was in Sylvia's question, which is the word embodiment. You know, honestly, when I was younger, a lot of the people I was around were all about leaving their bodies. It was all about, how can I get out of my body? How can I, you know, a lot of people like, oh my God, I want this to be my last lifetime. And there's just this like mass exodus to get out of the body. And that could be done through meditation or yoga, or it also is done a lot through drugs and alcohol and ways to check out. But one of the things that I've observed is that most teachers now are going in the opposite direction about, no, the body is a temple. And it's not about leaving our body. It's about fully coming into our body and embodiment. And I know that's something that both you talk about. So I'd love to turn it over to each of you to share a little bit about embodiment.
Definitely. And I think embodiment is so important because, you know, the fact that we're even having this discussion here at this expo about enlightenment tools, we're not telling you, okay, guys, now we all just have to leave and go to a cave and meditate for 20 years and then we'll achieve. Is that a way? Of course, you know, there's so many ways, there's so many paths to our freedom and our liberation. But for each one of us, it's different. And now we live at a time where we're able to actually raise our frequency, raise the vibration by being together in community. We don't have to leave society. We're here now because our consciousness level is so high that we can actually practice our enlightenment journey in community together.
Yeah.
In our bodies here and now. We're not about, oh, I have to leave my body for enlightenment. We're here because all of you guys are here because we're here to create an enlightened world and society together. And so it's not just the individual path, it's a collective path for all of us. And by bringing that into our body, we're able to then reverberate and resonate to all of the people here, everyone at the hotel, everyone in the city and across the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know you're going to have something to say about that.
Yeah. So embodiment is my jam. It's really the yoga of bringing spirit, your whole self, your higher self here now into the body. And when we did our very brief grounding meditation, we used some tools, right? We use a little mudra. Mudras are an amazing way to bring your consciousness really present in the body. Let's actually practice another mudra together. So activating your hands of light, rubbing them together. We're going to connect our ring fingers with our thumbs. This is the meridian of the heart. And you can just extend your arms for a second and lift your heart and just breathe and just feel that. Maybe let your arms come even straight for a moment. You know that Hatha yoga, physical yoga, was created to prepare the body for meditation with less impedance, less dissonance. And mudra like this, it activates consciousness. So this is going to be a fun thing to try. We're going to raise this mudra now towards the heart and just feel the energy, almost like a little Qigong exercise, like your heart has a field, it has this coherence much greater. You can face these little circles towards each other. For those online, can you see me? Yeah. And then we're going to overlap these circles and press pinky tips, middle fingers, and forefingers. This is the mudra that symbolizes Om Mani Padme Hum. This is a Sanskrit mantra for compassion. So when you hold this, you're using your body as the physical vessel, the temple, to cultivate a frequency of compassion. And breathing into the heart with me here, if you combine mudra with mantra, you amplify this frequency even more. So let's just, for the fun of it, practice one mantra. Okay, it's Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme. Om Mani Padme Hum. And just feel for a moment, just breathe and really witness how that shifts your consciousness. It's a very quick way to change consciousness from a stressed feeling to a peaceful feeling, to bring more compassion into your heart. And then we can unfurl the fingers, leaving the base of the hands together. This is the Padma. You heard the word Padme, it means lotus. Jewel in the center, the lotus flower. And like this, we're in a receptive position, embodying the open-heartedness, embodying the receptivity to our spirit, to divine light, to penetrate our hearts. So these are embodiment tools and practices that are very easy to use to tap into a higher frequency pretty quickly. And pressing our hands together. Namaste.
Namaste. Beautiful. Namaste. Beautiful. I want to take a moment to see there's some comments in the chat box. So we're going to read some of what's going on with our online audience.
Maybe while you look for those, we can invite you if you have any questions or comments or anything that's coming up so far, if you want to ask as well. This is a fun way to be interactive.
Here's kind of a very human question. As an empath, and I know you're both very empathic, so this will be good for you.
Probably many of you are as well.
Who considers themselves empathic out there? Yeah. As an empath, I cannot carry the burden of the negative energy of several family members. Of course, you have to extend forgiveness, but I prefer distance. Any thoughts about how to manage that?
Brings me back to the true meaning of compassion for me. So compassion doesn't mean we have to self-sacrifice. You can love someone unconditionally and actually never physically be in their presence again if it is toxic, if it is abusive, if it is dangerous to you. You can still have compassion for them. You can feel unconditional love and not shut them out of your heart. You can pray for them. The distinction for me is that a lot of empaths, we cannot tell what is ours and what is someone else's emotional energy or frequency. And if they're, especially with those long-term challenging relationships where you feel like it's challenging for you to stay in a really high frequency in their physical presence because of how they continually project on you or abuse you, we're just assuming it's something that challenging for our friend online, then you can do better spiritual work with that being even from a distance. When we have raised our vibration to a level of compassion, like a master, like Kuan Yin, then no matter what's happening in front of us, we can perceive that is happening over there. There is a lot of suffering happening over there. There is a lot of anger happening over there. There is a lot of really negative projections happening over there. And at that level of compassion, we don't necessarily feel it in our own body or in our own emotions. It takes a lot of work to have that buffer. It's a different level than empathy. We have lots of ways we feel. Some of us feel sympathy or pity for another being. Those are not as high frequency as compassion. Compassion is liberation. Compassion is an enlightened state. So for those of us who are still wrestling with, I'm such an empath, but I'm not really holding that level of compassion, I would say if it's a toxic situation, distance is okay.
Hmm.
That's my guidance.
And
right?
that's also a form of self-love, because a lot of the times we feel, again, we're obligated to do something or be with someone or go see these people because we have to.
Shooting all over us.
We're shooting all over ourselves, but we have to, I think one of the practices that I would recommend is before anything, just to take a pause and ask, what would love do?
Hmm.
So what would love do in any situation? If someone takes your parking spot, you can just stop and say, what would love do? Congratulations. I'll keep looking. But again, that, because we can easily shift our frequency in that moment. All of us do it, right? All of us do it. We can go from being like, oh, great.
Yeah.
So we flip that easily, and that's okay. But the practice comes in the pause. When we pause, and then when we ask, what would love do? Because suddenly, rather than reacting, we're taking a moment to pause and go within. And then when we ask, what would love do? We ask ourselves, what would the highest form of frequency? How would that, for myself and for all involved? So suddenly someone calls and is saying, oh, you have to be here next week. You can pause and say, what would love do? And maybe that means, you know what? I don't need to be there. For me, have to stay here. And you can just say with love, thank you for the invitation. Unfortunately, I can't make it. I have something else going on. And you can end the conversation rather than, getting into an argument or agreeing and then feeling terrible. So much of what we do is we agree to things that we don't want. We forget to stand up for ourselves, and we forget to love ourselves. And that's what we can keep coming back to in every moment. Pause and just say, what would love do? With your partners, with your family, with anyone you meet on the street, that pause suddenly shifts out of that reactive mode and brings us into the mastery mode, which is enlightenment. And you might say, well, that's such a simple technique. But that mastery of patience is the most difficult one to master of all.
Beautiful.
It's me of a quote by Viktor Frankl. He says, between every stimulus and response is a moment of choice.
Yes.
And in that choice is freedom.
Exactly.
And when you ask that question, what would love do? That's big freedom. Yeah. So thank you for that.
We each have that. We forget that we have that.
I want to riff on that with a couple of tools. Okay. First off, when you are creating that distance, when you're not choosing to engage, you can still bless the person. And something that I learned from Paramahansa Yogananda, one of my favorite teachers, was the highest blessing is maximum grace. We never know what's really best for someone. We don't know if it's best for them to get the job or not. We don't know if it's even best for them to heal from the cancer, because our life journey is so much greater than our little brains can comprehend. And the truth is, all miracles and all good things come from grace. And so when we bless somebody with maximum grace, we're letting go of our egoic will and letting go of our sense that we somehow know what's best for someone, and acknowledging the bigger picture and putting our energy behind the blessing of the bigger picture, putting grace upon that person. So just maximum grace for that person who took my parking lot spot. Maximum grace for my sister who stole the family fortune, which is a true one for me. Maximum grace for that political figure that really gets under your skin, right? Maximum grace for our beloved friends, maximum grace. The other thing I want to mention on a practical level is as we're talking about those, what would love do, the holy sacred pause, what we're talking about from a biological standpoint is moving from the back part of our brain, the reptile brain, the place where we perceive that we're attacked or we might be attacked. So we go into a reaction, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. When the reptile brain takes over, I like to call it when we're abducted by our own reptile brain, our only choices are, as she said, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn is when we just totally surrender, give up our power. And none of those are healthy choices, unless you're really, truly in physical survival, then they come in handy. But most of us are no longer in physical survival anymore. Thank God, how blessed we are. What we want to do is live in the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, which is where the empathy center of the brain is and the observer part of the brain. And I want to share a brief story about the Dalai Lama as a source of inspiration for all of us. The Dalai Lama allowed researchers about 10 years ago to hook up electrodes to his brain and track how his brain operates. And they did tests on him for about an hour and a half. And what they found was that at all times, his synapses were firing in the frontal part of his brain, never in the back part. So they really tried to get him to react. And so they showed him photographs of Chinese soldiers burning down a Tibetan temple. Showed him these photographs. And he wept. He wasn't suppressing his emotions, he wept. But his synapses continued to fire up here instead of in the back part of his brain. They then took it one step further. They said, how do you really feel when you know that Chinese soldiers are murdering your people, raping Tibetan women? And he got very, very quiet, but his synapses continued to fire up here. And finally he said, it reminds me, I must pray equally for the Chinese as I do for my Tibetan people. Now this is important because this is the movement of the human species. The Dalai Lama obviously is a very advanced member of our species, but nevertheless, he's lighting the way. And Tanjila and Eden in their way are lighting the way of how we can have more enlightened moments, how we can move from our reptile brain reactivity into our frontal lobe. And so even when that hard thing is happening, we don't react, we slow down through breath or meditation or prayer or whatever tool you use to come back to center. And remember to have empathy for self as well as empathy for others.
Thank you so much. And a lot of the work that I do in the mystery school training that I'm a teacher in, we find a pattern interrupter. It's like a simple, like hand position or something that we practice when we're in one of those stressful situations where we usually react. So maybe all of us could choose something really subtle. Like maybe it is a couple fingers that touch, or maybe it's one hand on the belly and another on the heart, because there's a way that we're reminding ourselves to come back to breath, to come back, lean back, get out of that reptilian brain, back into, oh, I'm grounded in my body, in my breath at this time. So maybe there's a simple way you could hold your hand, even if you're in a stressful business meeting and you're sitting at a boardroom table that nobody knows you're doing it. Nobody knows, but you're breathing. Somebody's just insulted you or said something, or, and you can still anchor yourself in that higher frequency. And for our listeners, maybe you can find a pattern interrupter. And I feel like it does come back, like Tanjila was saying, to self-love. Because when we're taking care of ourselves at the spiritual level, it's like, no, I'm not going to flip my lid. That's another way of saying where the prefrontal cortex goes offline and the reptilian brain abducts us, like the alien spaceship. That's what Scott likes to call it. So we find that pattern interrupter to stay in our body, to stay present, to stay in that choice, right? So one of the things I often do is I put my hand on my heart because it actually releases oxytocin. And oxytocin is a calming, feel-good hormone. And it doesn't look that strange to do. You know, you can be in a conversation and someone's really upset with you and you're like, feel you. You know, you can put your hand on your heart without insulting them. If you do a strong pattern interrupter like this, they might be even more agitated. But if you just put your hand on your heart, you come back to yourself. You come back to your breath, present moment awareness. I am here now in this body. The oxytocin releases, grounding. So it's a very simple way of helping ourselves come back to self-love.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that pattern interrupter. And I love this movement right here of putting the hand on the heart, because you know, we live in such a busy world with a frenetic mind where we're always up here. You know, what's the next thing I have to do? Where's the next place? Who do I have to call? Who's coming over? And this is where we are. But then when we put our hand on our heart, it's that embodiment piece of bringing us back to who we are, back to the heart. And so, like Eden said, whether it's in a difficult moment, difficult conversation, or even just a frustrating moment you're having on your own, just putting the hand on your heart and taking that deep breath in and that deep breath out. That practice can really start shifting you out of the mind, back into your heart, out of the mind, back into your body and into your heart. And this is who we truly are. This is where the seat of our spiritual self, our soul resides, right here. So suddenly we're able to move even without realizing it. You don't have to think. Like what's going to happen is, like, you know, if you just do it now, if you just put your hand on your heart and just breathe in and breathe out. Just feel into your spiritual heart and feel at peace. And just in these moments, we've shifted the entire room, the entire space, for not just each one of us, but for every around us. And it just took 10 seconds. So this is a powerful tool and practice that we have with us in every moment, that we can just put the hand on the heart, breathe in and breathe out, and feel at peace, because the peace is within us in all moments. We just forget. And the story you told about the Dalai Lama is so powerful because he is living in that peace. He is living in that compassion moment to moment, so much so that when seeing those horrible pictures, he said, it makes me remember to pray more for the Chinese. And that is the enlightened moment, right? Because when we are living in that space, we will never be tolerant of war, of starvation, of poverty, and we can create the enlightened planet that we know is possible.
Beautiful. I think we have time for maybe a question from the audience, and while you were doing that, I'll check and see what's happening online here.
Any questions coming in?
Yeah, or something that's resonated.
Margie?
I just have a comment about the skills. I have been using, I took a course with Scott a couple of years ago in love and relationships, and we did a lot of stuff with nonviolent communication and empathy, and I find like I'm carrying them with me every day, and I use them almost every day. In fact, I used it last night, when I offended somebody in a laundromat by taking his laundry out of the machine. You know, some people don't mind it, some do. Anyway, he was very offended. And I felt immediately like something shifted, you know, in the air and something needed to be healed. So my way of dealing with it is I think to myself, okay, what needs to be healed? You know, so that I don't react and say the wrong thing. And then it helps you to refine what the words are that you need to say. So before I left, you know, the room, I said, I apologize for offending you. And I could have said, I apologize for taking the laundry out, but that wasn't the right thing. You know, he needed to, you know, see that I acknowledged his feelings. And it worked. He said, yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
So it does work, you know, but just tune into what needs to be filled there. In a difference.
Thank you, Margie. Thank you. Well, there's been a dynamic conversation going on online with people talking about spiritual bypassing and all of that. So maybe get some thoughts. And I want to acknowledge Tarina Joy from Ecuador. We are truly the Global Peace Tribes, who are people from all over the world tuning in. She writes, thank you for your sharings. And she likes to apply the 5 steps before we speak. And it's an acronym, THINK. And the acronym is T for is it true? H for is it helpful? I for is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? And K, is it kind? Think. That's a good one. That's a great tool. So question about spiritual bypassing. How do we stay in our bubble of love while still staying connected and having empathy for what's going on in the world?
Well, I think with your share, that was a really good lead in to how to stay present with people. And I'm going to bring back in compassion, because for me, compassion is to stay with what's happening. And when I work with people, I look at I don't just listen to the words, but look at their bodies, how they're holding themselves, their faces. It's like people are communicating a lot more than what the words are saying. And to help them feel, to ask questions, to become more present with each other, then you're not bypassing, and we're not projecting what we think the other should feel or should do onto them. Because I think that in the past, I actually was guilty of that. I remember reading a great book. It was like The Dark Side of the Light Chasers or something like that years ago.
Oh, Debbie Ford.
Yeah, that was great. And when I was young, because we all go through certain amounts of childhood trauma, I went really vertical, and I was able to connect to spirit and just kind of use my intelligence to figure out how to survive. And it helps when you're young to survive. And then it comes a time where you have to drop in to the feelings and to be present with each other, or else we are bypassing. So it took a really brave and loving friend to help me see my pattern in the past, that I wasn't as vulnerable. I wasn't as available for deep emotion. We're kind of pointing all this talk to how to be in our humanity and bring in these higher frequencies. And I feel like it's not one or the other. Like, we're not spiritually bypassing as soon as we're in our humanity together. When we're in our empathy, in our bodies with another, feeling them, and then bringing those higher frequencies in. That's what it takes.
Beautiful.
Definitely. I think spiritual bypassing is such an important question. How many of you know what spiritual bypassing means or have heard the term? No.
Can you tell us?
Yes, okay, sure. So it's a term that's often used in the spiritual community because we talk about everything is love, all is love, everything is love, all is light. So people say, well, that's spiritual bypassing if you're only talking about the love and the light and you're not talking about what we may call negative emotions or negative experiences. And if you're jumping in, that can be called spiritual bypassing. And it's really important because just like we talked about at the beginning, our human life, we have the range of emotions. That's why we came here. That's why we came here from the heavens. And the heavens, not like planet Earth. We came here for this school, for the highs and the lows, the anger, the joy, the despair, the desperation, the bliss, all of it. And so when we feel the sadness, the anger, the despair, it's normal, and it's also all part of the love. It's all part of the light. And for us on our enlightenment journeys, it's not about acting like those painful experiences that we've had in our life don't exist, because that's spiritual bypassing. It's actually going into our feelings and trying to see, where are they coming from? How can I heal them? And that journey is different from everyone. We have room full of healers in there, and there's so many practices, whether it's somatic, breath work, body work, yoga, therapy. There's ways we can go into our feelings so that we can then set ourselves free, and we're no longer ruled by our fears, ruled by our anger.
Think of it like turning the lead of those dense, suffering emotions into the gold of our presence,
Yes.
like our inner alchemy and the path of integration. Because when people are spiritually bypassed and ignoring the suffering or the denser energies, they're actually not getting the gold. They're not receiving the full presence and wholeness that's possible.
Exactly. And it's the full love of who we are. We're not here to be ashamed of things that we've done in the past, that we might regret, that we might have hurt people. We have done things that other people might consider wrong. That's okay. That's okay. And so, one of the practices that I would recommend, just in your own meditation or time of prayer, time of silence, if something comes up, don't suppress it and put it aside. Let it come up and just feel. And then say, what can I learn from this? Or Spirit, show me how to move forward, and then see what comes to you so that you have a path ahead.
It's 5 minutes until Charley time.
Yes.
So we're going to kind of wind this part up. We're going to have, for our online audience, Omashar is going to play a song. And in 5 minutes, the great Charley is going to be sitting here. And he happens to be in the room right now. So Charley, you want to share a little bit about what you're going to be talking about?
I'm going to be talking about the I am presence and developing our own connection to the I am presence, and how to use this energy that is our birthright to connect with, to help manifest things in our lives and to actually do a lot of work on the earth. It amplifies your own power of your prayers and your intentions when you're in the energy of the presence.
Beautiful. So what Charley said is he's going to be teaching all about the I am presence. And before we end, I want to give Eden a chance to let people know how they can get much more of her, since you got a homeopathic dose of Eden today.
Well, for those who don't yet know me, I do a free divination call working with archetypes of the divine feminine. And for all of you as well, if you go to EdenAmadora.com, free offerings, you can join me on Wednesdays, most Wednesdays, for mystical insights, oracle office hours. That being said, this Thursday is a special event. You know what it is?
What?
It's the 8/8
Lionsgate
Lionsgate portal. And this is a time that our ancestors, well, the ancient Egyptians actually really revered, when Sirius, it's kind of like the mother to our star, like Isis to Horus, to our sun. The helical rising of Sirius aligns to our sun. And they used to celebrate this was the flooding of the Nile. It's a time of great prosperity, abundance. We're in Leo energy, which is all about the heart, the sun within the heart. So this Thursday, and for all of you online, I'm going to be doing a free call called the Lionsgate Activation Call, which I would love you to be a part of. You can donate. It's anything from $3 to $33, or if that's too much, just come. No one will be turned away. So Lionsgate this Thursday, if you want to join in a ceremony, in a ritual that amplifies our abundance codes and true prosperity, which we know is so much more than just the material things that we have. It is the ripple of the big love.
At
and the
what time on
abundance.
Thursday?
It's at noon Pacific time this Thursday.
12 noon
8.
Pacific time online. And if you go to EdenAmadora.com, you can get
Yeah.
the details.
Join any of the free offerings, the mystical insights, or the live spiritual masterclass, and you'll get the link for the Lion's Gate.
Fabulous.
Wonderful. And so thank you all for joining us for this talk. I hope that you received some practical tools and tips, some simple ones that you can incorporate in your day-to-day lives for your enlightenment journey. Thank you for being on your enlightenment journey and participating with us in your own personal enlightenment, because that is in service to the enlightenment of the planet and of the universe and the multiverse.
So we're going to take a 5-minute transition. We're going to online turn it over to Omashar for a song and bring the great Charley up top there.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
When you feel like giving up, when you feel like letting go, living in this ever-changing world, when it seems that all is lost and you don't know where to turn, the future seems so very far away, and just know with your hand in mine, all heaviness fades away. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. La 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 la, la la la. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. So when it seems that you're alone and the fears knock at your door, remember I am just a breath away. You are my brightest star, you've just forgotten who you are. Remember there is nothing in the way, so just know there really is a plan. The sun will always shine, and with your hand in mine, all heaviness fades away. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day, the darkest day. Ba-dum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum-bum. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. So when you feel like giving up, when you feel like letting go, remember I am just a breath away. And just know there really is a plan. The sun will always shine, and with your hand in mine, all heaviness fades away. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. Ba-dum-bum-bum, da-dum-dum-dum. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. We're ready for you, Charley.
Hey, let's take a moment though to all twinkle our beloved Omashar. Thank you, Omashar, for that beautiful song. And will you be able to do one more after Charlie? Fabulous. We are now turning it over to Charlie.
Thank you, Omashar, for the beautiful song. Appreciate it. And thank you everyone for tuning in today for our Sacred Sunday. And welcome to all of you here. Thank you for joining us for this next talk. I'm excited to welcome you guys to the Soul Search Enlightenment Expo. I'm Tanjila, the founder of Soul Search, and we are here to support you on your spiritual journey, wherever and however that might be. We have our online directory where you can connect to healers and practitioners. We also host our live events like the one you're at today, where you can meet with practitioners like Charley and all of the people we have in the room. And of course, we also have Soul Search TV, where I invite you to check out our television shows that our practitioners have created about channeling, mediumship, visiting sacred sites, and so much more. You just go to soulsearch.tv, or you can look up Soul Search TV on Roku, Amazon, Android TV, and Apple TV. And so definitely stay connected. We host these events every month throughout the Bay Area, so you can keep coming back. And we have amazing speakers all day. And it's my pleasure to now introduce Charley Lamson. He is a sacred fire alchemist, an intuitive guide, energy healer. He works with the angels and the ascended masters to bring through intuitive guidance and healing for people. He helps with soul resurrection, self-mastery, does individual coaching as well, in person in Sedona where he lives, also via Zoom. And he is in the Bay Area the next week. So whether you're interested in working with him here at the show or in person, he is around. And today he will be giving a talk on the I Am Presence and how by connecting with the I Am Presence and the ascended hosts that can support us in our spiritual transformation and journey. And Charley is also my husband, so so I'm very familiar with his work, and I'm really blessed to have him as my partner because he supports me in doing all of this work with all of you. So thank you for being an amazing husband. And without further ado, I will let you take it away.
Welcome, guys. So what I wanted to speak to you guys about today is the power and the understanding of the I Am Presence. It's very common in our society today where people are teaching I Am affirmations and things like this. But I want to take your comprehension of this a step further than just positive thinking. Okay, and to understand that there is a true force in nature that we are invoking every time we use the words I am. Okay, and the more we comprehend that term, the more powerful our affirmations, or what I call decrees, can be. And the more we do this with a rhythm, there's universal laws that are becoming more prevalent in the consciousness of humanity. And one of those is the universal laws of rhythm, of doing things every morning or every night. You begin drawing like a higher current of energy. It's like you're beginning to create a whirlpool of energy that is your birthright to use in the outer world to create your life or to make yourself healthy, to change things. But most of all right now, the need of the hour is for people to come into this higher comprehension and come together, and specifically in like groups of 3, to really bless the earth, because the earth is going through a major transition right now. And she's calling on everybody that's awake, alive, and alert to really start using the energy. She's not getting the energy necessarily from the sun like we do. She gets her energy from us, okay? And the sun kind of comes through us, if that makes any sense. And so the more we come into a comprehension, we can truly we can truly make this world, this accelerated transition occur. Got some activity in the, got some activity in the room. Let me try to get a straight face again. So the words I am is a connection that we have had, and all the master teachers throughout the ages have given their comprehension of this. Okay, and the most recently would be like Jesus when he studied under Maitreya and was given the term I am that I am to meditate on for years. Okay, and to come into that comprehension that wait, I am means we are all one I am. It's not just one nice thing to say, but then to come to understand that then there's an individualized I am that is attached directly to our consciousness that we have an access to. And 100 years ago, or almost 100 years ago, dispensations were given from higher beings that oversee humanity's evolution to bring these teachings of the I am back into the human consciousness that hasn't been here since the time before the flood. Okay, and this is also learning how to use certain angelic energies that I call sacred fire. The people have heard the violet flame, but believe me, there's many more, and they all have certain activities that are very prevalent in the world today. Now, with the building the relationship of the I am by invocation and decree, you will first begin feeling the currents of energy moving through you. They are holy energies. They feel very euphoric. You'll feel it in many different ways, and you'll feel it very rapidly when you have the comprehension that you're actually, when you say the word I am, that you are actually invoking a higher version of yourself to come into the body and do the works. Okay, the masters, when the master healers, they would say, I alone do nothing. The Father through me does the works. This is what they're talking about. Okay, this means you're bringing forth the higher power through you with the use of the word I am, but it takes the comprehension of the word and that activity of what you're doing to really bring this forth. And as you begin practicing this is why the masters will also begin teaching the violet flame, to use the violet flame in your body and in your emotions, to begin balancing this energy, because you become very powerful. Your mind power becomes very active, I guess you could say, in what you create in your life. And so you want to be very balanced. Okay, and so at the very same time that you're beginning to more deeply comprehend what the I am presence is, you're also going to be organically learning how to balance the four pillars, the mental body, the astral body, the physical body, and the ethereal body. Okay, and this makes you more stable. This is not shutting off your emotions or shutting off your mind. This is like balancing it and being in full control and mastery over these things. And then moving into the physical body, where all of a sudden you'll organically start to eat organic food and exercise, but you'll feel like a nudge to do these kind of things. And this is where you really begin expanding your magnetism and your magnetic power. I'm going to lead you guys through a basic activation to really connect you guys to a certain current of energy. And we'll do a little blessing on the earth. If you guys would like to join me. Does anybody have any questions? Anything coming up for anybody that's before we begin? And we'll do some questions after. All right. Yeah, so why don't we just get comfortable? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 3 ohms like together to set a resonance field. And then 4 Elohim. Okay, this is a higher being that's going to work with connecting. They work with the Elohim are like the creators of form, but also ethereal form. Okay, and what we're going to be working on is really connecting, and it is of your own free wills, obviously, but to help you connect a higher, like a bigger cord or a tube of light around you. And so I'm gonna call we'll call the Elohim to be working in it, and it is your Elohim, okay? There's not like you're borrowing my angels. Everybody has their own set of the universe, okay? And they'll be working on developing this energy for you, and then we'll go into like a short guided meditation and blessing of the earth, okay? Why don't we take a couple deep breaths? And we'll do 3 ohms. Oh. 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 Good, and now we'll do 4 Elohims. Elohim. 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 Good. Now just relax. Perhaps observe any feelings or sensations you may be having in the body right now or as we move forward. Remembering there's nothing to do but relax. And as we're sitting here in the mind's eye or your imagination, remembering always that your imagination is not make-believe, but is indeed a bridge to creation. And in that imagination, begin visualizing a beautiful emerald bluish crystalline pyramid spinning clockwise and beginning to descend above you, down around you. It is ethereal in nature, effortlessly floating. As it gets closer, you begin to see that it is 88 feet square at the base and 88 feet tall to the cap. Allow this pyramid to continue descending below your feet until you are dead center. And while you are here still observing perhaps some color fluctuations in this ethereal pyramid, that it is spinning clockwise, it is important in these mediations that we hold the visions for 17 to 22 seconds to anchor. Perhaps you see numbers going by like you would be counting sheep. To hold the vision, giving yourself something to look at. observing maybe how your skin feels, if there's any magnetic change in your field. And now, as you've held this in, you've seen the numbers go by. You look below your feet and now see an inverted pyramid of the same size. Perhaps some different colors, emerald red, perhaps gold. Slowly and effortlessly moving up from below your feet, moving counterclockwise, spinning in the opposite direction of the first pyramid. Allow this inverted pyramid to lock into place. Once you are dead center of this pyramid as well, take note of any sensations or feelings you may be having. And observe the counterclockwise spin of this pyramid. Perhaps by numbers or letters going by, written on the walls of this pyramid. Perhaps a symbol or something may come into your mind. You may take note. Or when you're practicing this at home, perhaps you keep a piece of paper next to you. And now this is locked in. An inner voice makes the command, Merkaba on. And now these two pyramids spinning in opposite directions of each other begin spinning faster and faster and faster until it is practically the speed of light and you no longer see any corners. It looks like a beautiful field of energy. And now it's very easy. You can move your consciousness out of your body, almost as if you're looking at your other body in the Merkaba field. And observe. And now move your consciousness back into the Merkaba. And begin seeing this crystalline diamond white tube of light beginning to descend through the top capstone and moving straight through and over you, about 10 feet in diameter, down through the inverted capstone. This too is also spinning counterclockwise and fluctuating in many different colors. Almost like a waterfall with little crystalline specks of all the different colors of the rainbows. A great living light that is around you. And still with this, observe any sensations. As this tube of light will be a great key for you moving through these earth transitions. And now, as the directive has come that it is time for humanity to purify and balance their 4 lower earthbound bodies, you hear the inner voice make the command, I am the violet flame blazing within this tube of light, blazing within and around my 4 lower bodies. until I am free. And now there is an eternal ultraviolet light filling this beautiful tube of light all around you, permeating every cell, every atom of all 4 of your lower bodies. You may begin feeling a cool vibration, very peaceful sensations. And let us hold the vision of this violet flame, repeating the basic mantra, I am a being of the violet fire. I am the purity God desire. Repeating like a mantra while you're in meditation builds a great momentum of this force, a great gift to purify all karma, all energies that have stuck with us for thousands of years. The dispensations have been granted from the great central sun of Alpha and Omega, reminding us that the victory has always been won. And now that we have held this vision, perhaps you may even see the neon purple in your mind's eye behind closed eyelids. And if not now, I'm sure you will. As you begin working with the colors and the flames, you will be able to invoke these different energies, and all of them have different flavors, different activities. But the violet flame is the alchemist flame. The violet ray is prevalent through this age of Aquarius, as humanity transmutes and transforms all of the energies that have been discordant on the earth to bring forth an eternal golden age. The earth herself will not remain in the 3rd dimension. And now that we have the Merkaba field set, your electronic tube of light set at anchor, blazing with the freedom flame of violet, allow ourselves to now move up through the buildings and up through the sky, effortlessly now. In days of old, when you have heard of yogis that could levitate, people that could walk through walls and things like this, it was the mastery of this Merkaba field that allows such things. You can adjust the frequency and the gravitational pull within this field. But for now, we will take our consciousness in the Merkaba up into the atmosphere. From this perspective, as we sit here in perfect comfort, the earth is just a masterpiece. It is so beautiful. You're above the problems and the turmoils, the anxieties of the matrix. And you begin remembering what it truly feels like to be one with your I am presence. From this perspective, it is hard to judge anything, for judgment was never ours to need to do. All we need to do is love and send love. And now, as we begin coming together in the atmosphere, See where you are called to go. You hear your inner voice call forth your scepter of power. And in an instant, you see that you wield a great golden scepter with a beautiful jeweled orb on top. And see where you are called to go above the earth in your own mind, where you may feel there may be service needed, whether it is environmental, whether it is political, whether it is the ocean and the animal kingdoms, or whether it is your hometown. It matters not, just trust your intuition of where you would like to have this profound activity of light take place. Knowing you wield your scepter of power, no longer the babes in Christ, no longer the followers, but becoming the gods and goddesses that you have been in embryo to become. And now, as you think of this place that you would like to be of service in this activity of light, you begin seeing angels beckoning you to the place so you know exactly where it is, where there are no maps from this perspective. And as you find yourself over this location, you begin raising the staff. Invoking the power of your own I am. And if you will say with me, Almighty I am, 3 times. Almighty I am, Almighty I am, Almighty I am. Pull forth these currents of energy down into your form and your consciousness, and hear that inner presence direct. I am the sacred fire, blessing and purification of the earth. And in this moment, you see your angels that are with you start spiraling down towards the location. It matters not how big it is, because your angelic presence is infinite. You may do a whole nation, or you may do one household. And see the great circle like a tornado spiral of angelic activity move forward down over this location. And then put your scepter down and see the great glorious light of the sun blazing like a laser beam, purifying, blessing these electrons, elementals, every flake of consciousness with peace, justice, and grace. Hold that vision. Perhaps you even feel the power flowing through your hands and your physical bodies in this activity. And if not today, I assure you, you will, with a very little amount of practice. For it is the need of the hour. The earth is changing her Schumann resonance. The earth is coming awake, and will one day take her rightly place as another celestial, a star, known to the hierarchies of heaven as the blue star of freedom, and will one day give birth to her own planets and have her own solar system. Take note of what color the rays of light that are coming from your scepter are. They may fluctuate. violet, pink, or perhaps the golden sun rays of illumination, moving not only through the area you are permeating this light with, but moving straight through like a neutrino through the center of the earth and charging the sun of even pressure, the great core of the earth. Giving her earth the daily bread of truth. And now, after holding this vision, turn towards wherever the moon is. For the moon has come to the earth as an act of mercy to put a protective field around the earth. We are all well aware of how the moon works in our emotional bodies. It pulls the tides of the ocean, the waters of the earth. And it has acted like a great filter for effluvia of unenlightened humanity from sending the traumas and the pains out into our solar system and affecting the rest of our brothers and sisters that have already ascended into higher frequencies. Let us project this new scepter, this scepter power, with a great violet beam surrounded by pink at the moon, and hold this also for 17 to 22 seconds. Forgiving and forgetting, transmuting and transforming all of the discordances our blessed moon has held back from manifesting on earth. All of the thoughts and miscreations, the hells and the demons she has held back in this astral plane, and transmute without judgment back into the glory and the power of the divine plan for earth. Perhaps you see the moon in your mind's eye turning a beautiful fluorescent pink and violet, transmuting every mineral, every grain of sand, all discordant energies that have been there. Liberating these blessed beings, for every electron is its own life force and consciousness. Every atom and cell a universe unto itself. And now, pull your scepter in front of you, still glowing and emanating with this glorious power. Tap the orb to your forehead and hold it there. Observe any energies you may begin to feel emanating this glorious neon pink field around the outer side of your body and supercharging a great violet ray through every electron, atom, and cell. Feel this energy moving. Perhaps in the mind eye, you can see a picture of an atom with its electrons moving around it. And see this violet light, this violet flame, blazing and releasing all discordant energies that is like a dark mass or like a shell around a light bulb, falling away and being transmuted. Begin seeing those electrons beginning to move faster and faster as they let go and dissolve this weight of this black sludge that has been wedged around it. Observe any sensations in your body, for as this happens to one electron and atom, it happens to them all. And now, tap this orb to your heart and let it disappear and dissolve into your heart where your hands are free. And know that this tool is always with you to use and utilize in all and any meditation. And now let us gather together again in the atmosphere of the earth, in our beautiful Merkaba fields, within our electronic tubes of light, filled with the blazing violet flame. And take a moment to look and observe at your brothers and sisters that are here with you. Look and notice what these Merkaba fields look like from your ethereal vision. You look like stars, my beloved ones. And perhaps you will take note that what indeed these stars are in our universe. Great celestial beings and consciousness in their own fields, emanating powers to anyone that asks. That is all aligned with the divine will and the divine plan for Earth. And now will let us begin descending back into the room. Effortlessly taking note of any sensations, using your senses in these activities is a very accelerated way of moving through a healing process. I should say balancing process. Great, I see you all back in the room. Now rub your hands together. Still holding the vision and knowing that Merkaba field is always with you. You do not need to be in meditation. Calling on it every once in a while when you're driving, it creates a great field of protection. You can create Merkaba fields over your businesses, over your bank accounts. We can do these things. This is like ethereal fire that these are created from. And we'll come into the room. How's everybody feeling back in the bodies? So what we are doing here is very real, okay? These are practices that we have known for a long time. We can, and with a little bit of practice, it gets easier and easier and easier to be able to move up out of your body until one day your body will be so light that we'll be able to take our bodies with us when we want to go travel. There won't be such a huge separation between our astral body and our physical bodies. We'll be able to move more freely and then solidify ourselves again and all this kind of thing as we move into the next octaves of light. Once we pull more out of this third dimension, and we're making a pretty big jump in this what we call a shift of the ages. We get a shot at this about every 4.5 million years to move up an octave. The rest of our solar system moved up at that time, which is like turning the channel. That's why we don't see people living on Mars and Venus and all this thing. But I assure you, every planet is teeming with life. It's just on a different radio channel. Okay, and now we're about to make a jump and catch up with them. We stayed behind I mean, people will call it an experiment or something like this, but humanity was a very pure consciousness for millions of years. And during that last shift of the ages, there was going to be a time when other souls of other worlds were not going to be able to make the jump with their world, and they would not have, you have to have, your consciousness must match the frequency of the planet you're from, or you can't incarnate onto it. And so there's always a certain amount of energies that are smaller percentage, like a 0.1% of the collective consciousness that would not, if the planet ascends, they're not going to have a place. They'd be like left as orphans. Okay, they call them recalcitrant or just too dense to move forward in the dimensional jump. So the Earth at that time took those energies into herself and to let them go through their cycles and to heal themselves here on Earth at that time. And so the Earth stayed back in the third dimension when everybody else jumped forward. And now we're at a time that has all been balanced and healed. And so the Earth is ready to move forward. And this is what we're going through now. And this is why people are being able to comprehend metaphysics, like on a very collective level. People are all over the world in all ages. A lot of times people didn't really contemplate on what comes next or who am I until you were about a week away from crossing over. What's next? But this is happening. Kids are being born right now with a very direct connection to their I am presence. And they know that they're here to like witness and observe this transition. I see this all the time. So don't lose hope by watching Gen Zs on YouTube. There's actually very high consciousness coming with the children right now. And just like many of us here that are opening up to these kind of teachings, to the truth of who we are, and that like the 12 tribes are coming together, however you want to say it, it means that there is all the different paths that have been created, whether it's through religions or traditions or certain things, are all starting to come back to that truth that we are all I am. Okay, everybody connects to the I am. That is the I and the Father are one. That wasn't just for one person to say. This is who we all are when we begin comprehending it. And Jesus is one of my guides, so I speak from that perspective. And he says those things that is actually written in Scripture about, there's something along the lines of, there's nothing that you see me do or hear me say that you will not one day do and more. Okay, he really came to demonstrate the truth of I am that I am. Okay, and what that really means, and to demonstrate who we all are. Okay, and it began a huge spiral up, a lot of resistance on every side, but these master teachers came to really help us see that, oh no, wait, we're more. We're here to learn, we're here to do these things. We don't need to keep fighting. We don't need to keep resisting, and to come into our deeper comprehension. And with this deeper comprehension, your prayers become reality much faster. You're no longer, like they tell me, you're no longer the babe in Christ. Wield your scepter of power and decree what it is you desire. There is nothing that comes into your heart that you desire that God does not want for you. Okay, this is your connection is with God and is God. I guess you could say it's like our human consciousness is not God, but our higher self is directly connected to God. And so when we learn how to bring that into our consciousness, we can begin affecting and making powerful and rapid change on the earth. All right, there's been enough people that have been doing and been coming into these kind of teachings over the last 100 years. And it is truly that has really accelerated the illumination of the earth. That's why we've gone from horse and buggies to scram jets in 100 years. And now there's more and more of the population. It's like popcorn popping is starting to like touch on this higher consciousness. And you're going to see what we've just achieved in the last 150 years will be like in the next 3 years. And then another 6 months, it's like exponentially moving up. And it's not for us to judge technology and all these things. It's just a sign to show you that collectively the whole earth is moving forward. Okay, we were stuck with cows and carts for 15,000 years since since the sinking, right? And now all of a sudden, in the last 150, it's moved so fast you can't even hardly. You don't even know. As soon as you master, for me, as soon as I master something on the computer, it's obsolete. I've got to like learn something else. So it's like, but that's how things are going. And we're seeing a monumental shift on the earth. And for me, it pulled me out of my dark night. I suffered addictions and disabilities, and I began decreeing my life better, decreeing and commanding the cosmic law, release all my karma, all of this kind of thing. And it was wiped out of me. When I finally it wasn't with like belief, but it was more like faith. And I'm just, even myself, we're always expanding and learning. And it's one thing we must believe, like to know, but it's more about knowing and having faith that you know, and be prepared for everything you believe to keep getting shattered as you're moving up the ladder and then restructured. Okay. And it's part of the process, and it becomes less personal and more impersonal, which doesn't mean you don't care, but things don't affect you so much. You can just start seeing like if battles break out on the earth, or if there's an earth, these different kind of things, you can say, okay, they're going to get it. They're going to, like, you start seeing it from your IM's perspective. Like, it's like, some people wake up, a lot of people, they don't want to hear that alarm clock, like they want to punch the alarm clock. But the truth is, you got to wake up ready or not. It's time to go to school, time to go to work. And so it'll play out in many different ways. And the best thing we can do is pray for grace, send grace and peace and justice into things. And I don't mean judgment. Okay. Justice is universal balance. And a lot of the times when we invoke those laws of justice and the laws of peace into situations, into weather patterns, if hurricanes are forming, the elementals, we're also going through, it's not just humanity going through this, is that there's the elemental kingdom is side by side with us, and also the angelic kingdom of the earth is side by side, parallel with us. And we're all going through this change in consciousness. So it's important for us as the God beings, because humanity is the God beings, we are the ones with the dominion, that we properly bless them and acknowledge them, acknowledge the air you breathe, tell your air you love it. It sounds very childish, but it's all of a sudden you notice your lungs get bigger capacity. Like when we do these little things, when you have a campfire, bless your fire. A fire is such a beautiful thing, and it's magical. And it's not just for heat, it is like purification. I mean, it has so many different things. And the fire element is what I work with, the sacred fire. I mean, our consciousness is truly a sacred fire within our hearts that's so small. But one day, my guides have told me that we will have the science or the technology that people will be able to see their own consciousness, the little flame, the little threefold flame in our hearts under a microscope kind of thing. They'll have and you'll be able to see how we can use, and you'll be able to see if one of their flames are not balanced, and heal people scientifically and technologically by working with consciousness. And all these new things are what we're on the precipice, where a lot of the ancient teachings and quantum physics and science, it's all blending together now. And to not judge those that are on a very scientific and data-based path if you're on a spiritual path, and don't let it affect you if they call you woo-woo. It's all part of the process, and everybody will get it. And we're all here for different things. Some of us are here specifically to be scientists and doctors. There's no reason to judge these things, but there's also no reason for them to judge anybody else that's doing things spiritually or homeopathically and all of these kind of things too. All right, guys. So I guess this is it. And if you guys would like to reach out to me, you can reach me at my website is sacredfiremastery.com. To book sessions. I do one-on-one mentorships, self-mastery coaching. Also, I'm a channel, so I channel your angels and guides if you have any questions that's going on in your life. And we can do healings remotely or in person. So feel free to reach out to me, Charlie Lampson at sacredfiremastery.com. Thank you.
And so we're going to say bye to our online audience. So thank you guys for tuning in today with us from all around the world and being a part of our Burlingame Soul Search Enlightenment Expo. Thank you, Omashar and Scott, so much for co-creating this.
Fabulous job, Charlie. Thank you so much. Tanjila, you're amazing.
Thank
And I tell you, I want to encourage everybody to come to these expos. They're really fun. I'm meeting fascinating people, and they're really a lot of fun. So, and great job. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. And we are going to conclude our Sacred Sunday show with the Alpha and Omega Man, our beloved Omashar.
Yay. Well, that was fun. And how cool is that? I'm going to play us a song called In the Stillness, and then I'm going to go out for a bicycle ride up in around the paths of Colorado. And so I'm going to press a button here to get me sounding awesome. This one. And here we go. Quieter you become, the more you can hear. In the silence, in the stillness, I am here. Through the wisdom of your tears, through your heartbreaks, through your breakthroughs, through the shedding of your fear. I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. Now your heart and mind is clear, and you know that love is with you, love supports you, love is here. And you feel that you belong, and you're walking with purpose. You can hear your life's new song. Know that I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. Ba 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 da ma ma ma. Ba da da ba. Ba da da da. Ba da da da.
I love you, Omashar, and I love our audience. What a beautiful, I love doing Sacred Sunday shows. It's really, really special.
It's precious. And Charlie was spot on. What a dude. When he lets himself go and shows his personal enlightenment and shares it with us, how profound.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, he and Tanjila, what a dynamic duo, huh?
Amazing, really amazing. And they got it down and they're grounded. So thank you all. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Dorina and Susan, all the Susans. We got 3 Susans with us tonight. And we'll look forward to seeing all of you on Wednesday night. We've got a really fun show planned. And Omashar, have a beautiful bike ride. God's blessings, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.